What's up, guys? We are back with another episode of Local Topper Profiles, where I am back once again with the local topper. So, what's your name?
Jonathan Schwartz.
All right, John. What did you play today to win tonight's locals?
I played Dinomorphia.
Interesting deck. See what's under the hood.
All right, so I'm going to start with monsters.
All right.
And you only play 6 monsters in this deck because it's not very monster heavy. So this is Teresia, Dinomorphia Teresia. She's the best summon in the deck. She sets a trap directly from your deck. And then this is the worst summon in the deck, which is Diplos. And Diplos sends any Dinomorphic card from your deck to the graveyard. So you send what you need. Sometimes it gets you going, but you generally don't want to see this in your opening hand. It's there for fusion summoning. The last monsters in my deck are Lava Golems.
Just your kaijus.
I don't need my normal summon. You only play 6 monsters, so just being able to go second if you lose the die roll and just give them a Lava Golem set 4 or set 5 is really strong in this deck, because this deck does not need to do anything on its opening turn. So that's it for monsters, and then we go to spells. And for spells, we have just 3 duality is all I decided to play. I usually play Prosperity as a 1 or a 2 of, but I haven't been playing that for a while, and it's been working out pretty well.
Yeah.
So I'll probably go back to 1 Prosperity, and I just got to cut a card for that.
Yeah, especially because the new ban list.
Yeah. So I'm going to get into the Dinomorphia traps first. I play 1 Brute. I've played this 2 in the past. It's really good against the field spells like Tenpai and things like that. So it's a non-targeting pop. So you destroy 1 Dinomorphia card you control, and then 1 card on the field. And it's like just like DPE, non-targeting. So that's really good. Then I play Double Alert because I like to be able to trap tricks this one if needed. But this is a Monster Reborn, but its condition is you can summon up to 2 monsters level 8 or combined levels of 8 or lower. So it's either 2 of the level 4s, which gets you going, or it's 1 of the big monsters. So that's really good. It also stops lightning storms and things like that. You can bring your monsters back. And then here's the first of the fusion traps.
Dinomorphia domain.
So this one's only, I think it's just only hand, field, or deck. So this one's not nearly as good, and this is not the one you want to see a lot of the times. But sometimes you just have to get this to get going. So it does the job, and this is the really, really, really good one. This one does 1 card from the extra deck and 1 card from the main deck to fusion summon. So this lets you basically fusion summon twice, where the other one kind of is once. You can do twice, but is not nearly as good. And then this is what made this deck viable about 1.5 years, 2 years ago, is when this card came out. So this card negates a monster effect, which negates Ash Blossom. What's really good about this is if you flip up one of your fusion cards and they Ash Blossom, which usually would stop you in the past, you can flip up Intact to ensure your play goes through. So having these 2 cards set together, you can set one off Teresia. There's a lot of ways to get these 2 together. Just makes it so it's really, really strong. And then I played the one of, just in case I went first, but I played the one Anti-Spell. I draw this, I think, once today, but it wasn't even the first game because I lost the die roll. But this is just Anti-Spell.
Utility.
This is one of the best cards in the deck. Anybody playing this at 2 needs to rethink what they're doing, because this is never dead, and it always, mid-game to late game, just wins the game flat out. So what this does is it shuffles all monsters my opponent controls back to the deck that are equal to or lower than my life points get to stay. So if I'm at 1,000 life points and I flip this up, they can only keep monsters with a combined attack of 1,000 or less. So if you're at, say, 60 life points or something, there's nothing but 0 attack monsters that get to stay. And this does not affect the monsters, which means things like Raid Raptors and things like that, it shuffles them all back because the player has to make the choice, not the card.
This can fight against the towers.
Yeah. So this is really good. It gets Noir, it gets all those things, and then this helps you get going. Trap Trick. So if, like I said, you have to get to your fusion spells or fusion traps, or else you'll lose. So what this does is it allows you to get quickly to your frenzy or your domain. And then sometimes, if you draw it later in the game and you haven't seen an alert, sometimes I use it for alert or just about whatever else I need. But this is a lifesaver. I used to play Trap Tracks, which is far better for going first. But what I found is I would lose on the games where they dealt with the monster I had on board, and then I couldn't trap track. So this is, or I couldn't get a monster to the board, one of the two. So this is much better and much safer to play, even though the other one has a higher ceiling. So this is, a lot of people don't do this, but I was running 3 Solemn Strike until today, and I'm probably going to go back to 3. But this is really good in the deck. So when you're first setting up, just being able to not get Ash Blossomed and set up your board, or set up your board and then be able to play this one time, shuts down your opponent completely to where they just get exhausted and you win the game really quickly and really early on. So this is way better than people give it credit for. This also stops summons, like synchro summons, inherent summons, like XYZ summons. So if you're playing against 10 buyers, you just let them synchro summon once, end their turn. This is really good. And then this card right here is so good. So this is like adding 3 more Solemn Judgments to the deck. Only the difference is it has to be a face-up card, and it also can't stop a summon. But then what it does is the card you negate and destroy, you also destroy all cards in the column, which doesn't really come up all the time,
It's
but
like
it has
a
come
buff
up.
to imperm.
Yeah, so it has come up. But this is really strong with Solemn Judgments.
The OG.
I'm so glad this is a 3. And these cards also help against lightning storms and all the board wipes that you're afraid of, essentially. But obviously this is a staple. And then here's the spice that a lot of people started running, and not everyone runs it, but this wins me games alone. There's times where I don't get going with the other cards, and I just draw a bunch of counter traps in this, and they just can't deal with this.
Yeah, I see what you mean, because I used to play the deck that this is around. I used to play actually Supreme King, so I see what you mean.
Yeah, so this, I'll go into the extra deck what this does, but what this does is it special summons a Z-Arc from my extra deck. And then when this is in the graveyard, if my opponent activates a spell card, I can summon monsters that include Fusion Dragon. So what?
Fusion, Synchro, Seize Pendulum.
So you summon a bunch of monsters that I'll show you in the extra deck. So the extra deck, you play the 1 Z-Arc, and that's what you summon off the soul of the Supreme King. And so this is negated when it comes out, but you just want it for the 4K body, and that if they play a spell card, you tribute this to summon the rest of these. So the cards I summon off of this is Starving Venom, Preda Power, Fusion Dragon. It's my fusion, because you're allowed to summon one of each type. This is my Pendulum, Brave Eyes Pendulum Dragon. This says, this one's just for the body of 3600 attack. This one says my opponent cannot activate monster effects with 0 attack anywhere. This stops Ash Blossom. This stops anything with 0 attack, which is crazy good. And then this is Crystal Clear Wing Synchro Dragon. So once per turn, this is a spell and trap negate, but it can also stop spells already face up on the field. It's a spell or effect. So this is really good for negating and destroying. Also, when my opponent activates a monster effect, I can chain his effect because it's a quick effect to gain the attack of the monster my opponent activated, and then he's unaffected by monsters for the rest of the turn. So he'll easily turn into like a 4,500, 5,000 body.
And like,
and he just sits there.
Like going back to like Raid Raptors, if you activate Rising Rebellion, gains 4K.
Yes. So he's super good. But you say, what if your opponent just doesn't play a spell and passes turn? Because Z-Arc dies with the Soul of the Supreme King during the end of your next turn. Well, if that's the case, this nifty guy right here, which is also called Odd Eyes Arcade Dragon, you just put him on top of your Z-Arc, and his name's also treated as Z-Arc, but he stays forever. So you put him down, and then your opponent can't just pass the turn anymore. He's there forever. They have to deal with him.
Yeah.
So then if he's on the field and they activate a spell card, you tribute him and you get all your monsters out that way I just showed you. So I'm going to go into the 2 XYZ monsters that I run. Dolka, this comes up a lot. I was running Dolka and Logia, and now I'm just down to Dolka, and I might go back to both because I'm thinking about cutting this guy, number 60, Dugaris, yeah. So I ran Dugaris because in my extra deck I run Shifter, and there's a lot of times where I have a dead Shifter and I have an options to go into XYZ, but it's always 9 times out of 10 better to go just to Dolka or Logia just to seal the game than it is to him. But he does come up randomly, but I'm probably going to go back to the Logia. And then here's my Dinomorphia package, which this is pretty standard. So this is your boss monster.
Rexterm.
Yeah. Some people say you really only need 2 of this, but it's a safety net of having 3 because you never know if someone's going to pull from your extra deck or do anything like that. So I run 3 of him. What he does is he's got a quick effect that makes all my opponents, he pay half your life points, make all my opponents' monsters attack equal to my life points. So when you're at 100 life points, you can say pay half. All their monsters turn into 50 attack monsters. Also, he's got a continuous effect while he's face up on the field. My opponent cannot activate monsters with that attack points are higher than my life points. So when you're at like 200 attack points, there's nothing going to be activating. And it's better than skill drain because they can't even activate. There's no attempt to activate. They just. And then this is Kentragina, which I think is the better out of everything because she seals out games. She's really good with skill drain because she's 4,000 attack. She loses attack based on my life points. So if I'm at 1,000 life points, she goes from 4 to 3, and it goes up and down, depending on what my life points are. But she also has a quick effect that she copies any Dinomorphia normal trap in your graveyard, which could be a brute to pop a card. It could be a diffusion summon him out with the fusion card you brought her out with. So she's really good on that, but not just that, but if you can just get bodies established on the board with skill drain or something along those lines, she just sticks, and she's really hard to deal with, and she's really big. And all of these fusion monsters, including the normal monsters in the deck, are floaters. So they all float down. He'll float into him, or her, she'll float into the next one, and then the two level 4s float into each other by banishing a trap. And then this is the last one, which I think is really underrated. So Stealth Bergia, normally off the first time I fusion summon, this is one of the ones I send from the extra deck, because you only really ever need one. But then the last one I like to keep in my extra deck because the amount of games I win sometimes, when you open up like a domain late game or something like that, and you put him on the field next to your other big bodies, well, they activate a monster effect. You chain his effect, they take burn damage equal to the attack of that monster effect that activated. And that's anywhere. So if they activate Princess, you can literally burn them for game if you get them low enough. Also, he's got a continuous effect that if your life points are 2,000 or lower, I believe, you can activate counter traps without paying the cost. So you can activate like the Solemn Strikes that you're at, your life points are too low to play, for absolutely free. And he's got 2,500 defense. He's just sometimes hard to deal with late game when they're like the 2,500, 2,000 or lower. It's going to seal the game just by chaining this response to any effect monster they run. And then here's my extra deck, or my side deck. So I side deck Inspector Borders. These are only going in for going first. So going first and setting 4, they can't activate Hash Blossom in response to my fusion traps, because his effect states that they can only activate one monster effect per type on the field. So Synchro, XYZ, Fusion. So if I go first and no one has anything, they have to answer him before they can even attempt to play, and then you still have everything you have. So he's actually surprising a lot of people when I summon him. And then I do this for going second. Everyone knows what Dementia Shifter does, because if I go second and I drop this, it's like I go first again. The turn goes back to me to going first, where I can just set my 4 or 5 cards and pass, because that's what this deck really wants to do. So if I can stop my opponent for a turn and get to go before they set up their board, that kind of makes people in a winning position. And then you saw the Lava Golems in the main deck. I did Sphere Modes in the side deck. This just goes against things like that make incredible boards, like Wednesday I played against Drytron and things like that. You have to be able to get their monsters off the board, because I'm not playing hand traps. You kind of let them do whatever they want and just break their board. And then I also side decked this for going first. Skill Drains.
This will have to go to 1.
Yeah, well, this goes to 1. It's not a big deal because but this is a really good card with Kentragina. I might even put the 1 main deck now that there's a 1 over the anti-spell.
Yeah.
Harpy's Feather Duster, because this deck's bad matchup is actually back row, like Labyrinth and other things.
And like Lightning Storm.
You have to do something. I usually side deck evenly matches, but I decided not to tonight, which are probably going to go back. And then I like to side deck 1 of this. I might go to 2 of it. But this is a Dinomorphia card as well. So what Sonic does is it's a spell and trap negate. So this helps going games like 2 and 3 where you don't want a Lightning Storm ending your turn, or it evenly match or anything like this. So this will stop that, plus the Solemn Judgments, plus, you have a lot of things to stop. So you have that to stop the Lightning Storms, and then you also have that to stop them. And then you just put another one in. This is searchable off Teresia too. So say you open Teresia, the fusion spell, you can actually set this just so you don't lose to Lightning Storm and stuff, which I think is really powerful. I might go to 2 of this again. I might put 1 in the main deck and go to a second one. And then this is the stuff that got changed, and I'm not too fond of this. I put these in just so I don't get FTK'd and things like that. And I put this in because against certain matchups like Salamangreat and stuff where they just set up their Destroy 2 with a counter trap, if I'm going second, it's really hard to deal with unless I can just reveal this and show it, and then they can't destroy anything and set. There's also against Raid Raptors, same thing where they set up their guy that's going to destroy all my cards I control. I don't want to just set my whole hand, so I might bump him up maybe to 3 just against matchups like that, just to make sure I don't lose. Because if this deck starts playing, it's really hard to win against it.
Yeah. So that's it. All right. Well, that was a really interesting deck. Thanks for appearing on the video, and we will see you guys next time. Like and subscribe. See ya. Bye.
Thank you.